very much. As mentioned, that's me on the screen. Oh, it's moved on.
It's you off the screen because that's a horrible photo.
Detective Superintendent Nathan Munson. Police officer with Met Police, head of CyberCrime unit. And I'm glad it's moved off the screen because you can see I haven't had a haircut since that photo was taken. And this is a double act today, and with me is...
I'm Dave Birrell. I'm the DCI for the cyber unit in the Met Police. I'm going to talk to you a bit around a specific operation, but Nathan's going to hit you with some facts first, the numbers, apparently.
So we've got a bit of time, 30 minutes, as mentioned. We're going to go through a bit of background, a little bit of cyber strategy. Don't be too fearful of that. And talk about a really successful case, Operation Stargrew, that I think sort of draws together what we're trying to achieve within the Met Police cybercrime unit and more broadly across cybercrime nationally. And actually, I'm delighted to have the opportunity today, as Andrew, who happens to be a special that also works with Britannic, invited us to speak today. And it's because actually the problem that we're trying to solve at the moment, one of cybercrime and cyber-enabled fraud, is such an incredible problem that it isn't one for policing or law enforcement alone. It isn't one for just government alone. It is one that inevitably we're going to have to rely on people that are in the audience today, your companies, what you produce, deliver, that will be the tools that assist us to be able to de-anonymise the criminals online, to get beyond the VPN, to crack Monero, crypto, whatever it is, so we can then do the policing activity that needs to happen beyond that. And it's important because of the sense of scale. When we talk about the scale of the problem at the moment from a fraud and cyber perspective, I mean, it frankly is astonishing. Approximately 65% of all fraud is cyber-enabled. If you add together the offences, this is from the last crime survey of England and Wales, if you add together cybercrime and fraud, you're at almost 5 million offences across England and Wales, which is approaching half of all crime. That's frankly an astonishing figure, and it's not lost on police officers that behind all of those there is a victim. So that's a sense of scale, and that's a sense of why it's such a big ticket item across governments, across police, and of course for those in the room today. Big ticket items generally means a lot of strategies. That's what I've come to learn in over 29 years of policing. It's not. It certainly remains the case in the cyberspace. Why is that? Yeah, two thoughts. One, you come long enough in the tooth to know that there's no crisis that can't be solved by a new strategy. But also, there is a collective across government that it is such an important issue, we have got to get our act together. Not suggesting that we're late to the party, but it is such an important issue because of those increases in crime, those numbers that I mentioned, those astronomical figures, they are so important. Just a few of the 9 that I could work my way through that have an impact, frankly, on my team and what we do. The government cybercrime strategy, the cyber security strategy, the NCA cyber strategy, and the NCSC cyber strategy. Now, we don't need to know much more of those, other than fundamental to all of them is the importance in there of how public and private companies work together. As Metropolitan police officers, of course, we have our own strategy, New Met for London. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but it has a fantastic soundbite which causes you not have to work through the 87 pages of it in its entirety. More trust, less crime, high standards. Just focusing on the less crime portion of that for a moment, a very noble mission, of course, because we mentioned about victims, and that's of such importance to our team to be able to reduce those victims. And whilst it's a new strategy, it's actually an old theory. As long ago as 1829, Robert Peel, the founding father of policing, he said that the best test of policing efficiency is actually the absence of crime. So a key mission from that long ago that resonates and is so important still today. But less crime is actually a really difficult mission to achieve from a Met Police perspective. If we don't move the dial on fraud and cyber, because it's such a big portion of the pie, if we don't move the dial on that, then how can we possibly achieve less crime? It's going to be really, really difficult. And in fact, last year, fraud increased by 31%, just last year alone, that level of increase. Which is part of the reason why some of my initial thinking was actually to approach the Commissioner and say, we need to change the strategy slogan to more trust, slow the rate of increase in crime, high standards. That wasn't catchy enough, didn't land, so we had to come up with a plan B, which is a paradigm shift in how we approach some of our work from reactive. When I talk about reactive, it is the crime lands with a police officer, and it's not through a lack of effort. There will be a number of inquiries, there will be CCTV, there will be engagement with the victim, there will be endless communication, applications to probably bump into a VPN at some stage, and there will be production order after production order after production order that will be a shell company, and then in the end, we might have to admit that on that occasion, it's defeated us. And that is leading, and evidence tells us that it's leading to a poor quality of criminal justice outcome, and that's not what we want to deliver for the victims. So we need to spin that. There's an awful lot of resource that we're putting into the reactive investigations that isn't delivering for us, it isn't delivering for our victims. So the approach is to spin that and go into a proactive sense. The Pareto curve principle, which is that 20% of the public are delivering 80% of the problem. So if we can really laser focus on the 20%, or it might even be 10%, those individuals that through their cyber capability are able to industrialise fraud on a massive scale, the scales that I've already spoken about in some of those figures, if we can work with you to deliver the tools, the intelligence, to the threat actor identification, then that will enable us to do the arrest, to do the house raids, to do the seizures, the device downloads, etc., which is very much what we're keen to do, and is actually amplified in the case that we'll see shortly in Operation Stargrew, exactly how we want to work moving forward and do more of it so we can move the dial on these big figures. But it will require stronger collaboration, undoubtedly. We have a good collaboration at the moment. Cyber Defence Alliance, one of our key partners, assist in threat identification, greater intel sharing. Undoubtedly, some of the new tools that you'll develop will buy the licenses for, but we need your collective expertise to assist us in that, the agility that you can bring, which frankly, big organisations such as the Met Police aren't often able to deliver at pace. Strengthening legislation, again, that's one on us to get with the government and say, this isn't delivering for us, we need to change it. And target hardening and raising awarenesses, whereas the team that I lead in the Met Police have some offering, some things that we can support you with. But it's by that closer working, and I genuinely believe that we can move the dial on this and we can make a very positive change, because we're not lost on those victims, the people that have lost their life savings. They're the reason that we come to work. That's what motivates me, it's what motivates our team to do better. So the way the office is modelled is built around a thing called the 4 Ps, protect, prepare, prevent and pursue, which is borrowed by cyber from counter-terrorism policing. It came into policing about the mid-90s. It actually predates that. It's an eminent criminologist by the name of Derek Cornish advanced a theory in the mid-80s that actually all offences require a cast, offender, victim, facilitators, there's the people involved in it, props, so the instruments and the equipment that are necessary to complete the offence, and also the actions, so the preparatory work, the target acquisition, then the commission of the crime itself, and then afterwards the escape, the disposal of weapon, bloodstained clothing, whatever it might be. And by mapping out and scripting out the different stages of any crime, we talk about cyber here, we map that out, then we're able to apply our own strategic interventions at pinch points. So it's really a holistic approach. Rather than just crimes happen, we're turning up, we're going to do our bit to investigate. We're going way left of that and looking at what steps need to take place in a preparatory sense, right the way through to way after, to give us a maximum opportunity to identify pinch points where we can intercede. And as you see on the slide here, so we've got the first 2, protect and prepare. These are a number of offerings that we have within the team staff awareness presentations. We have a link at the end if it's something that you think you or company small, medium or large enterprise would be interested in, then please do either link in, or we're here for lunch, so to catch Dave or I, we'll talk you through it. Vulnerability scanning and cyber alarm, something that's an early alarm that there may be some threat actor trying to target you or your company. Exercise in the box, which is something that the National Cybersecurity Centre, it's a product that they've produced that we offer now on behalf of those that are based within London. Decisions and disruption Lego exercise, an interactive way to get the message across, as is the last one, the cyber escape room. Just gets you thinking in a slightly different way about how we can collectively target harden, which is really what protecting is. It's about target hardening. I think about 29 years ago when I joined policing, it was about get a security light, get a CCTV camera, cut back a hedge. It's very different now, of course. It's about ensuring with security patches and staff awareness of the threat of social engineering and things of that nature. Moving on to the next P is about prevent. The Cyber Choices programme, similar to Channel programme, for anybody that's aware of that, it's been in the news over years because that links to counter-terrorism, but this is the cyber version. It's looking to identify those that might use some specific specialist cyber knowledge, or at least demonstrating a specialist cyber knowledge, and divert them away from a life of potential criminality. And they're using that skill set in a criminal sense to then become good citizens and use it in a more positive scenario. And that's something that, whilst it's owned by the National Crime Agency as lead, for any of those individuals or the cohort that are based actually in London, then we'll accept them onto the programme and we'll manage them through what could be sometimes many months to try and deter and steer them away from criminality. And then final point before I hand over to Dave to talk us through Operation Stargrew is Pursue. This is what you'll probably think of as the more typical policing activity. It's about arresting people, seizing devices, following the flow of information and evidence, presenting to CPS and charging people and seeing them imprisoned, and then some legislative orders afterwards that give us some greater control over individuals that are seeking to commit crime. So that's another part, a key part of the office, to follow up on those crimes that are reported through the course of the weeks and months. And as it says on there, key success factors. First one, links to private sector. We get so much of our key threat intelligence already through, as I mentioned, Cyber Defence Alliance and others, but we also think that there is greater possibilities out there. So that's how the team is modelled around the 4 Ps, and now to bring some of that to life in an operational sense with Operation Stargrew, I welcome Dave to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. So I was just reflecting on how I was going to start this. The first reflection was, should have had Taz help us with the presentation. The second one was, what is the golden thread? Well, the golden thread for this is, in all of the technological change and all of the cybersecurity threats that exist, don't forget your people. And we're going to come back to that in a bit. So this is Operation Stargrew. It was into a service called Labhost, which was a Phishing-as-a-Service service, too many services. This model spans lots of crime types that we deal with, but essentially you've got someone providing the tech, and then you've got a whole load of affiliates signing up and paying and using the tech without having to develop it themselves. And that's what's enabling this scale of offending that Nathan was just talking about. So what was it? It was a one-stop shop for phishing, which meant that you could go there and it would deal with everything for you. As with so much of the work we try and do, it wasn't solely UK focused, nor indeed mainly UK focused. It was Canadian by birth and was, in fact, as you'll see in a bit, targeting Canada quite highly as well. These ecosystems have lots of like 24/7 support, Telegram message, that's usually done on Telegram. You can raise your issue there and they'll come straight back onto you and tell you how best to maximize your membership of this site. At the time that we dealt with it, it had 2,000 paying members globally who were actually active, 7,000 in total, but 2,000 that were actually active. And they were paying in crypto around $250 to $300 a month. And the way that it worked, and I think I've got a slide on this in a minute, was everything that, all the phishing sites that we might see were actually APIing into this service. So the content of those sites was controlled remotely by Labhost. So at any one time, it was responsible for 40,000 other phishing sites. It was providing the content for those phishing sites. And I say at any one time because they go up and come down roughly every 48 hours or so. They get noticed, they get reported, and they come down. But the central thread of it is this place. And this is what you got if you paid up your membership. You got a country-based offering, depending on where you wanted to target. You got access to templates that would allow you to pretend to be a whole load of companies, and you can see some on the right there. 47 were UK companies. There were 27 different packages you could buy. And the service itself enabled you to capture the login credentials of people who were fooled into thinking these sites represented the organisations that they said they did. They also had a tool in it called LabRat, I didn't do the branding, that allowed you to interact with the person whilst they were on the phishing site and get one-time passwords or something else similar out of them so that you could bypass that, be in someone's bank account and doing it live time. And why does this matter for us? It matters for us because we have historically, in a reactive sense, looked at the crime reports on the right there, but there's rather a lot of them. So we are trying to work further left along that flowchart to work out where we can intervene and impact to prevent there being a whole load of crime reports at the end of it, rather than trying to follow the links at the end. And that sort of industrialisation of fraud and cyber offending has forced us into a different way of thinking about it. So I haven't got too long, so I'm not going to explain exactly how we did it, but we essentially found out where it was being hosted. We got a copy of the database from Lithuania, and inside that, we found a wealth of data. I'm not going to run through everything there, but you can see we had 1.2 million unique usernames and passwords that victims had typed in. We had 500,000 unique credit card numbers, mother's maiden names, PIN numbers, and we had a wealth of information about the people who had paid to access the service, as well as something around the people who were administrating it. So we're London. We need to work out where in the UK everyone else is. That gives you a span of where they were. There's a lot of police terminology in there, but the map helps you. They were spread across, the ones that we could trace into a real-world identity were spread across the UK, and there were many more internationally. Oh, it's gone off my screen, but it's still there on yours. The problem we have as law enforcement then, when dealing with this sort of thing, you take down one thing, another thing comes back up. Labhost isn't the only site that did this. There was another famous one called frappo.io that was happening at the same time. So what do we do to just not displace the problem, but actually try and tackle it? We come up with a plan, and the plan is this. We take down the website, we arrest some of the users. We did an earlier operation called Operation Elaborate where we arrested 150 London-based users and then drowned in the paperwork thereafter. So we arrest some of the users, not all of them. We destroy the brand, and we try and scare people off using this sort of service again in the future. And then we publicize everything so that we can get some of that protect messaging that Nathan was talking about out to the public and that they can target harden. So this is first bit of the plan. It was based in America, so the Americans took it down for us and put that splash page up. This is the second bit, a whole load of activity against both UK-based users, but also around Europe, and Canada's missing off there. I said it was Canadian-focused. That's because Canada did it a year later, but they did get there in the end. And then we destroy the brand. If you've got Spotify, you'll have Spotify Wrapped, comes to you at the end of each year and tells you all about your usage of Spotify. So we mocked up a personalized version of that. It says times 800 in the corner because we sent it out to 800 of the users, and it told them about their specific usage. And this is what it looked like, hopefully.
Welcome to your Labhost Wrapped, your recap of all the data we have about you. This recap has been made in partnership with International Law Enforcement. We've valued you as a customer ever since the day you joined. We've been collecting your data that whole time, and now we've served it to police on a platter. You've paid a high premium for our services. I hope you didn't think anonymity was included in the price. We've been watching you every time you visited us. So many IP addresses. Honestly, I don't know why we kept them all. Remember these domains you've used on our site? Such creativity. I wonder if the company's legal teams will be as impressed. You've targeted victims all around the world. The police there may not be too happy with you. Think carefully about where you go on holiday next. That was your 2023 Labhost Wrapped. Labhost is dead now. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we'll collaborate with police again. They've certainly enjoyed going through our data, and I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing you soon.
I'll save you the music. So that's an attempt to undermine Labhost as a service and kind of demonstrate that if you're a criminal sharing your data with other criminals, guess what? They don't look after it too carefully. And that then brings us on to this bit of work, which was furthering that. So this was, I said it was on Telegram. So there was a bot on Telegram that you could interact with that gave you 24/7 support, answered your questions, whatever. We took that over, and with the Estonians, we then interacted with individual users as they were providing support, as they were expecting support, sorry, and we were, as you can see, not providing them with the support that they were after. And that post on the right-hand side of your screen, I think someone said there was no French speakers in here. Is it me, or is Labhost gone mad? The whole point is, don't trust this sort of thing. Don't go and sign up to the next one, because they won't handle your data or look after you any better than this one did. And then that's the large-scale press coverage. That was my boss at the time fronting a load of press coverage to deliver the messages around how to stay safe online. They surrendered, and they went away very careful to say that they were going away and wouldn't be back because they didn't want us to pretend to be them. That was the kind of the message. That's why the messaging was there. I'm going to hand back to Nathan in a second. I think I said the golden thread was people. We've heard a lot about AI. We've heard a lot about technology. We've seen in recent cyber attacks, especially on the retail sector a few months ago, the access point is via people. AI will be attacking, AI will be defending, but people will still be somewhere in that process. And this is a person-based or a people-based threat type. And that mustn't be lost in all of the technological solutions that are deployed to try and keep your company secure. Nathan, hand back to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's a really nice example of what I was saying about trying to degrade the trust and confidence in those that offer phishing-as-a-service and industrialise cyber and fraud on a scale that frankly, policing and government is not set up to deal with. In terms of threat picture, if you like, from a policing perspective, that is right up there at the very top end. Of course, ransomware is as well. The architecture is slightly different in terms of lead agencies with ransomware, but nevertheless, there is a great amount of work that goes into ransomware strains, as you would fully imagine. And then also, similarly, in the dark web space, the mission objective there is to degrade trust and confidence people have in using dark web marketplaces to buy illicit goods. So a sort of common thread through all of those things is to try and degrade, rather than the elaborate approach we took, tried to arrest everybody we could possibly see. Anybody who's walking the streets, we arrest him, and we just got drowned in bureaucracy. So we're certainly trying to be more judicious and more laser focused in our approach now to have the maximum impact and use our resource in the most efficient way possible. So coming back to what can you do? Certainly, as we'll see on the video that we'll play in a moment, and has already become really apparent during the course of the presentation, is people, of course, are your absolute strength and power of the company, but they can also be your greatest weakness. The greatest security infrastructure in the world can be built, but if a person is engineered in providing some details, then there's a way to circumvent that. And as I said, the video in a moment will really bring that to life. The second part, review of processes, business continuity plans. They're rarely the most exciting and first talked about topic on a morning meeting, but they are critical. And of course, is the technology up to date in terms of security patching, etc. And there are some links on there, and I'd really urge you to have a look at those, because within it are some further offerings from the National Cybersecurity Centre. Although, of course, similarly, we offer some at the Met Police within my team, and we're really happy that you take advantage of contacting Dave or I or the link on the final page. So here is the video that brings that to life.
Try that again.
Today, and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where did you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School
Oh, when did you graduate?
in 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Has you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday,
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th,
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie, 6/12/95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 468, and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so
what- like what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, now you know my password.
Some work still to do. So thank you, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm just going to leave you one final thought, and it's routine activity theory, which advances the theory that crime occurs when a motivated offender, suitable target, and lack of capable guardianship converge in time and space. So therefore, in its simplest terms, our policing mission is to deter or demotivate offenders, to reduce the prevalence of suitable targets and boost guardianship. And we would welcome your support in achieving that mission. Thanks very much.